Salutations, greetings, grand risings, one and all. It is me, your Astro Weatherman, Robert Phoenix, and I'm living on about 3.5 hours sleep tonight. So it'll be an interesting day to get through. It's not the first time. Let's be clear about that. How is everyone, wherever you are? Let's see. Who do we have here? Who is into his house? Let's see. We've got my man, DJ MC. DJ MC, Michael Sisternino. Right behind Michael, Deborah Wheeler. Pretty image. Yes, it's a nice one. You know, I go out of my way every single night, mostly every night, to scour the internet and find you beautiful sunrises to inspire the beginning, or if you're towards the end of your day, that as well. You could say, hey, that's a sunset. It'll work. In fact, there's been a couple times where I've actually used some sunset photos. I just haven't told you. I know it might be manipulating reality, but in certain cases, it was like, well, they won't know the difference. And this is the best damn picture I could find at about 1 o'clock in the morning. So we'll keep that secret between me and me, or me and Peachy. Anyway, I'm glad you like the thumbnail in the backdrop. Scott Jersey, SJ, what's going on, brother? Chief Wampum. Sigurd, hello from inside this totally humane and soon to be UK legal assisted Donnie. Please. God, no. None of that. None of that. Speaking of pods, I've had these short clips of Spinal Tap popping up on my feed. And there's that one clip where they pop out of the pods and Harry, whatever his name is, his pod won't open. You know, Rob Reiner might be the most totally meat-headed, twisted liberal douche of all time. But you have to give it up for Spinal Tap. That's like Rob Reiner's greatest achievement to humanity is Spinal Tap. One of the great movies of all time. Liddy Lou, Another Day in Paradise. Checking in from McKinney. Yes, David Palmer is going to have another child. Here you go. Cheers, big cat. Congratulations. Reversing that population trend. Maybe he's got a couple more in the chamber. Wouldn't that be fun? Misbehaving too. What's happening? Wit's entropy. What's going on, Brother Wit? It's a beautiful sunrise in Ruidoso. All right. Christina Jerzak. Hi, CJ. Greetings. Big Dave Sullivan. Brandy Herrera. 39 in Sin City. It can get pretty damn cold in Vegas. I've experienced some very, very cold nights and morning there. So you better bundle up a little bit. T. Jordan, literally in the house. Barbara Boots, Double B, leaving out for Pennsylvania for a vet appointment. Okay. Hope the vet appointment goes well. Kelly B. Hi, Kelly B. My man Ryan's here. Road Trip 1981. Darlene, Green Eyed Crow, the Nutcase Network. I'm on time for once. How's it going? It's going well. It is going well. Healing Heart Rosie, Janine, PMSO, Myros, Interstellar Cosmic Conversations with Patricia. Interstellar Cosmic Conversation with Patricia. Patricia. That could be your theme show. That could be your theme song. Let's see. Hope you're doing well down there in North Carolina. We should get a North Carolina update again here pretty soon. Janice Phillips. It's cloudy and you're sneezing. You're sneezing. Well, bless you. Bless you, Janice. Nora Rashid, the queen of speed. Living life with the pedal to the metal. Sharon Lewis. Yes, don't forget to hit the like. That's really a key. It's a key thing with this show. Hitting the like button, especially if you like it. Hey, you're not lying. You're just showing your appreciation for it. You like it, and subscribe. You can also buy me a cup of coffee if you'd like to do that. Proudly deplatformed since around 2011. Let's see. Lisa Ann White is here. Hi, Lisa. Awesome Soul. AW, so greetings back to you. Deborah Wheeler. Checking in. My man Steve Thor at the door. It's a good day to be impulsively launch an online business. We find our next. That, you could be right. I might work that into the weather. Yes, you can buy me a cup of coffee right there. Thanks, Tom. Right there. Since I can't super chat, you can do that. Who else is on board here? Deborah R. Soul Traveler Sally Hiller has not been on since the Lion King. Yeah, he's been in a cloud of bliss. He just announced that he and his beautiful wife are pregnant again. Hallelujah. Jeff Rosen's here. What's going on, Jeff? Good to see you. Zerlith, immortal. That's our friend Steve. Good to see you. Mary Grether, Holly Beth. We got a full cast today. Son of the Right Hand. I like that. Cassandra Lynn, Jen Adams. I saw Robin Dan in here yesterday. I didn't say hi to her. Lynn, Pink and Fleas, we're still getting harped. And more rain predicted. The farm and I are okay. It's been raining for 3 weeks. I love how you guys check in, give us your inner and outer weather. Lurking, it's a brick over here. 30 degrees this morning. It sounds to me like the weather is catching up with us. Huh? We're finally starting to move into winter, although here in Texas, you wouldn't really know it. It continues to be unseasonably warm. Let's put it that way. All right. Let's waste no more. Not that was a waste of time. I don't consider that a waste of time. You got to watch the language. You are not a waste of time. Just remember that. Say that to yourself today. That could be your mantra. I am not a waste of time. That's a double negative. Those are really bad. What would be the positive? I am worthy. I am worthy of attention. I am worthy of respect. How many people do you think are really feel like they're worthy of respect? Not ego, not hubris, not pride, but respect. It'd be an interesting talking point. Anyway, you are worth and worthy of both attention and respect. All right, let's get into the weather. Oh man, these West Coast games, man, keep me up. Although I have to admit, it was definitely worth watching. Even though Steph Curry is totally woke and shilled for Kamala Harris, I still like him. It's America. We can do that, right? We can hold two simultaneous positions and not be considered crazy. All right, we got that sun right there, 21 degrees, Scorpio. Remember now, we're in that Cancerian decan. And it's really, this brings it up to the level of Trump's political appointments. And there's a lot of finger pointing and hand wringing, and there's a lot of "see, I told you so's." I told you so's. I think it's really interesting that we have reality figured out down to the infinitesimal decimal. Well, this is how it's going to go, and this is what's going to happen next. I mean, look, yes, there's pattern recognition, but this is what I'm going to talk about today over on 15 minutes. We've how do I say this? We have painted ourselves into a corner, and the corner is very reductionist, and there's no, we don't leave any room for what some people would call the divine, what other people would call God. We don't leave any room for that. Like it's almost like everything happens in this existential vacuum, this satanic void, and a lot of it is, to be fair. And at the end of the day, it is not the predominant force that runs through the entirety of creation. And yeah, I get where people are coming from. And there are people in Trump's, sort of appointee cabinetry that are, they're less than, how do I say this? Less than appealing on the surface. I'll get into more of that on 15 minutes. But I guess the gist here is we look at the yod right here with the sun and Jupiter and even the moon coming into this yod position like early in the day, right? It's like there are things on the back end of, we'll call the sun experience, right? The sun in Scorpio represents a slice of our reality. We are living through this lens at this point in time, this scorpionic lens where everything is really extreme. It's either yes, no, on, off, good, bad, heaven, hell, right? It's all very black and white, which is where Scorpio, there's no middle ground with Scorpio. We've come off the middle ground in Libra, and we're into the fixed patterning, right? And so we're seeing everything now through that lens. It doesn't matter if it's elections or, I mean, I was on this podcast last night after the Warriors game, and it was an incredible game, just an absolutely incredible game. Like you're not paying the players unless you go to the game, or you're watching NBA TV, which I pay $16 a month just to watch the Warriors. But you're not paying these guys. You have to sit through their inane commercials, unless you record, and then you can speed forward. But it was just this incredible entertainment, And you watch Steph Curry, kind of rise up and do things that 99% of the population, 99.9% can't do. Like even players that are in his league aren't in his league in this moment. And we're watching all this, and it's fucking amazing. And then you go on to a show afterwards. They're talking about the game, and there's the chat, and there are these people in the chat that are like screaming that they have to trade Jonathan Kuminga, and Jonathan Kuminga is trash, and Trace Jackson Davis is trash, and Brandon Pajemski. It's like, what is going on here? Like what is going on here? Like there's just this moment that happened. And this wasn't just one person. There's like multiple people that are fixated on this fact that there are one or two blemishes. And Jonathan Kuminga actually played pretty well last night. And I'm like, this is Scorpio. Like there's this tunnel vision, and the only thing people can see is the dark. They don't care about anything else. All they care about is that Jonathan Kuminga is still on the fucking team. The same thing is happening on Twitter. There's all, told you so, told you so, told you so. Told you so is a really weak position. Told you so. It's a weak position. And people were, there was this one tweet that this is all part of the Astro Weather. So just roll with me here. So there's this one guy who was talking about Peter Thiel. Okay. How bad he is. And look, we're not stupid, right? People are not stupid. We know who Peter Thiel is. Like, all you had to do is watch the Joe Rogan interview. Like, that interview outed Peter Thiel, if he wasn't already outed, as being just creepy, weird, extremely out of touch with the rest of humanity. Not to mention that, and I do believe, and I'm sorry, I hope this doesn't offend people who have had either issues having children, or you have children, you say, maybe I should have rethought that. But Peter Thiel doesn't have any kids. He's got no skin in the game. Just like Kamala didn't have any kids and has no skin in the game. Say what you want about Trump. He's got kids. He's got a kid that's very much connected to his legacy and skin in the game. Anyway, this guy posts this thing about Peter Thiel, and it goes on and on. I'm like, well, we knew that. Like, we knew that. What were we supposed to do prior to the election? Let's see. Should we all have gathered together in front of Trump Tower and protested against Peter Thiel? Should we have cut off his blood supply, his teenage blood supply? Maybe we should have hunted him down with a silver bullet. Like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with knowing that Peter Thiel is who he is? And it's either going to be Peter Thiel and the people from the PayPal Mafia, or you're going to get the XRP, World Economic Forum, World Bank, BRICS group. Like, okay, this is part of the reality that we're living in. And these are the players that are in it. Now, are they going to ultimately determine our reality? Like, are we all going to have a chip in our brain? And, are we all going to be look, if this is what we're going to deal with, we're going to have to deal with it one way or the other. We'll either reject it, right, and do our best to reject it, or it won't work. It's either one or the other, right? And we take it for granted that everything in our so-called physical environment is just going to continue to replicate itself every single day with massive disturbance, meteorologically at times, right? But we just take that for granted, and we don't really know, like, where things, like when Pluto goes into Aquarius. I'm telling you, it is not going to be easy for people to like play these scenarios out. There's always some weird quirk or something that fouls the works, something. Even though Pluto is in Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is glitchy, man. I've had Uranus in my 6th house since it went into Taurus, and my everyday life has gotten pretty fucking glitchy with technology and routine. It's been, Uranus is not predictable. So all these people that have these models of predictability, a week into the Trump administration, I would say maybe slow your roll a little bit. Anyway, then I said, look, I think it might have been the same tweet, and it had to do with power, right? It had to do with power, and it had to do with, the power of our voice. I'm like, look, that's fine and everything, but the world that we're living in, is defined, the power structures of the world that we're living in is defined by either economic power or the power to manipulate others, whether that's through propaganda and some form of insidious social engineering and mind control, or coercion, which is people that are compromised, right? Like this is how the system is run. This is the system that we're in. Like, so there's no. I mean, we just have to be honest with like this whole idea of power in the world that we're in. The structure. This is all very scorpionic, right? And so he said, well, and I said, well, at least you have the power of your voice in our society, meaning the United States. And he kind of said, well, that's what I said. I said, well, yeah, that's what you said, but you may want to acknowledge the fact that you wouldn't be able to fucking say this in China, right? Like this would not be happening in China. Whatever you think of this country in its pernicious corruption and all the things that we've become well aware of, you can still, for now, you can talk about it and not have somebody come to your door and whisk you off and put you into an organ harvesting van. At least not yet. Right? You may want to give thanks for that. And I feel like this is kind of the heart of what I'm talking about with this yod. Nobody really gives thanks for anything anymore. This is Jupiter lurking in the background in conjunct the sun. Opportunity. Like the retrograde, like you may want to reflect. You may want to reflect on the fact that, like, yeah, it is not perfect, but guess what? Like, you still have the opportunity to say what you want and not suffer massive consequences. Now, was that true during COVID? No, not really. There were people who got in trouble. If I say the wrong thing here on YouTube, they'll take my video down. But nonetheless, the level of consequences for that are minor compared to other countries. So I guess where I'm coming from is like, what are you grateful for? Like, what are you grateful for? And this is what I get with like a lot of the black pill people. Everything is it goes back to last night and watching the video or watching that live stream. Jonathan Kuminga, he's trash. Get him out of here. You just watch this fucking great basketball game. You watch this superhuman performance by this guy. Nobody else will be able to replicate what this guy did last night ever again for the entirety of his career. And all you can focus on is fucking Jonathan Kuminga. Right. And it's like, that is the root. This is how we have been socially engineered. We have become a culture of complaints. And it is not a good look. Like, yeah, I get it. Right. There are things that aren't right. Like, how many times have I gotten on this mic in any of my shows and told you what I thought was not right? A lot of times, right? But we have to temper this, because what happens is it becomes like cancerous and toxic, and then the next thing you know, we're treating each other poorly, and and look, guilty as charged sometimes. Like, guilty as charged, but at least on Twitter, it's my name and it's my face, so I am not anonymous, right? This is the yod. This is the sun trying to Neptune, right? This is the sun trying to Saturn. Let's have a moment for a reality check. Like, things are hard. Guess what? They can be harder. I know that sounds like, sort of pop psychology, but it's true. We're in Scorpio land. Like things can be really, really fucking hard. Really hard. And yeah, there's the state of this country, the state of the world is really at times ugly. You know, we drove around Austin on Saturday night, and there was a dude on almost every intersection, street corner in Austin where there was reasonable traffic from cars, and they're holding cardboard signs. And like it is just not a good look, right? It's not there. There are conditions in this world that are not great. We understand it. We get it. But you may at times just step back and say, you know what? I'm not in China. I'm not in North Korea. I'm not in Saudi Arabia. Right? I mean, I'm not in fill in the blank. And if you're watching this from another country, I guarantee you're probably not watching this in China. I guarantee you're probably not watching this in Saudi Arabia. Well, maybe. I guarantee you're not watching this from North Korea. Yeah, it could be a lot worse. So the yod, just take time, right? Take time to recognize what you have. Be grateful for what you have. And I know it's hard sometimes. I know people that are really having a difficult time, either economically or their relationships are really fucked up, or and it's like, well, it's easy for you to say. It's just there have been times in my life where I have been really down, and I've struggled, and I would do my best to find something that I could connect with and say, you know what, at least I have this, right? At least I have this, and this is meaningful to me. And then I could kind of build on that. And so this is, I think we're in this Scorpio territory, Sun trine Neptune. Are we our brother's keeper, or are we our sister's keeper? Or do we have to play that role? I think to some extent, yes, we do. Right. This is one of the beautiful things about this group, right? Chattaria, like, a lot of you have never met each other in the flesh. Some of you have, but I can go into that chat right now, and there's a lot of care in that chat. There's a lot of care. People are talking to each other. You know each other's stories, right? You know where each other, lives. Theoretically, you can paint pictures in your brain, right? Like we have got to begin to treat each other better. It doesn't mean that you suffer fools gladly, but we have got to treat each other better. If we are going to experience like the best parts of Aquarius, we have to have a space inside of ourselves where we treat each other better. It's just the way it is. Right. And it all starts with you as well. Scorpio can be a very powerful time to make deep internal changes. Like I have recommitted to the gym again. And, this is gone twice this week, and I'll go there again today. Right. So Scorpio is a powerful time where you can make change. And it doesn't matter what house it's in. I mean, it does matter because that's the area that you'll experience that change. But it can be wholesale change as well. And this yod, I think, is a really important indicator of that. We just get so obsessed with what's not right. We've been almost entrained because there were so many years where we were just going with the flow. Right. The money was good. Everything pre-2000. Money was good. You could put up with Bill Clinton and his shenanigans because the economy was good. And We're on top of the world, we being in the West, right? You just kind of look the other way a little bit. If you're paying attention, it wasn't all that good, but you know what I'm saying? But now we've gotten to this point where it's been this accumulating mass. And there's a lot of validity. I'm not here to paint a Pollyanna picture of the world. There's a lot going on here, right, with Scorpio and where we are in our times. But with this with Jupiter is about beneficence and blessing and abundance. And it's retrograde. It's like, hey, remember where you are. Remember kind of, what you have. Even if it's not like a huge portfolio or you're stacking chips, right? This is a big part of this yod. And with the moon in Aries, this is interesting, right? I was watching this guy, what's his name? The smartest man in the world. He was on with Michael Knowles. I'm gonna do his chart on Sunday night, and I'm also gonna do Dan Bilzerian's chart, and they both have something in common, which I'm not going to get into right now. But the smartest man in the world, what's his name? I think his name is Chris something. Anyway, he's got like superstellium in Aries. And you can tell that this guy has encountered some real impediments, culturally and institutionally, with his intelligence. But it's Aries. And so we have this moon in Aries right now, also part of the yod, right? It's here at this point in time when I'm speaking and you are listening, right? So this is the emotional back end of the yod. And what does the moon in Aries do? The moon in Aries deals with challenges. Aries just deals with challenge. The moon in Aries is emotionally wired to just deal with challenge. Sometimes it's impetuous, but it can also be kind of fearless. And one of my favorite words, dauntless. And so together we have this sextile between Jupiter and the moon today. At least right now, at the time of me speaking, there's this expansive potential. And it's almost like this the yacht is like this concentrated beam of light, it kind of hitting you in the back of your head, right? Hitting us in the back of our heads. It's like, wake up, wake up, wake up. Don't sleep on the blessings in your life. No matter how difficult it can be, just don't sleep on them. And that's individually and collectively. No matter what you think about Trump and his appointees, and I have some problems with some of those people for a number of reasons. You could have Kamala Harris as your president. You could have to listen to that shit every day. Right? Just think about that for a minute. Think about having to listen to Kamala Harris every day. Think about if you saw what the last 4 years with Biden, it would be that plus steroids with Harris. Could you imagine? I mean, she'd probably retain a lot of Biden's people. There'd be new people coming in. It would be the worst fucking DEI, DMV presidential hire in history. We don't have to deal with that. We don't have to deal with being talked down to and browbeaten, right? There's other issues, but hey, at the very least, let's be grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful I don't have to listen to that shrill voice and the cackling for 4 years. I'm grateful for it. Are there other things that are challenging? Sure. Absolutely. But there's always something to be grateful for. The thing with this Aries moon, okay, it's like, okay, well, can you hold two positions at once? Can you be grateful for something and also be invested in something worth fighting for? Absolutely. And we got a moon Chiron conjunction. It's just almost exact. And guess what? People are imperfect. They're imperfect. And it's a challenging lesson for us to learn. It's like I'm seeing a lot of these people they're almost mutants. They're almost mutants. Like Dr. Jones sent me something last night. I'm looking at these people. Like, how did these people get there? They're really horrific looking. I'm sorry. It's like if you had seen these people 50 years ago, you wouldn't be able to believe that like they're amongst us. And look, it's low hanging fruit. They're easy targets, but somebody and something in the system got them there. Like there's a formula for that mutation, and I can tell you right now, it's not Donald Trump. It's not Donald Trump. So I actually have some empathy for some of these people because they're really fucked up and they're at point of no return. I'm like, how would you like to be one of their parents and have to deal with that? It's like, not good. Mercury's in Sag, a lot of bluntness. There's a blunt tone. Mercury in Sag likes to, speaky the truthy. It's squaring Saturn today. And it's moving past Saturn just a little bit. It's beginning to separate. Sometimes the Mercury-Saturn square, it's not always easy to articulate what you want to say. There's a lot of filters that has to run through. You have to go through the authoritative voice or the authoritarian voice in your brain. Should I say this? Can I say this? What are the consequences of saying this? And what if I say it and it comes out wrong? And you have Jupiter over here is like, come on, you got to say it. You got to say it. You got to say it. Right? Jupiter's like, come on. Jupiter's kind of egging you on. It's like, come on, you got to say it. And Saturn's like, there's consequences of what you're about to say. And, Mercury's going to be squaring Saturn for a few more days. So have fun with that. Because you've got it's like when I was a kid, I'd watch the Three Stooges, and Mo would have a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other shoulder, right? And this is kind of where Mercury is. Come on, you got to say it. Come on. You can say it. Saturn's like, you better be careful. You better be careful about what you say. There's consequences. Hey, at least with Mercury coming in and trining the moon today and trining Chiron, if you have to say it with gusto, say it with verve, and preface it with, you know what? I may not be right, but this is how I feel. Right? I may not be right, but this is how I feel. Again, it's always helpful if you ask the person. They want to hear what you have to say, but power of Mercury. We also have another in conjunct Venus-Mars. Venus moving into Capricorn. Ooh, Venus in Capricorn. Everything is very formal. Very formal. It's coming out of a square with Neptune. And I feel like there's a lot of maybe buyer's remorse. The Venus-Neptune square, especially in Capricorn. Venus in Capricorn, it's like these appointments. Capricorn is the government, ladies and gentlemen, right? It's the hierarchical ruling structures of our world, governments, corporations, etc. Venus is our relationship to that. It's the people that are occupying those spaces, right? And we have this Venus-Neptune square. It's like, oh, I feel so let down. I feel so let down. Meanwhile, the Schadenfreude gang is like, told you so. Here, let me just, you're having a hard time with that? Let me just take this knife and stick it in your back and twist it. How's that feel? Yeah, because that's what's happened to you. You got the knife stuck in your back. I mean, it's a challenging place, especially in Capricorn. It's like, oh, okay, well, here we go. Like, that's the team. This too shall pass, right? There's a lot of bleeding. There's a lot of emotional bleeding going on here. And it's been going on for the last couple days, right? As soon as Venus went into Capricorn, and as soon as these names started popping up, It's a betrayal, betrayal, betrayal. I mean, that's what happens with Venus square Neptune. It's betrayal. You know, if you have it in your chart natally, you got to work through that shit. Right? It's kind of like, oh, I love you. You're great. You're amazing. I can't believe I've met you. You're the most amazing person I've ever met. And then a year later, your bank account is empty. You're drinking 2 or 3 times a day, and you're trying to figure out how the fuck do I get this person out of my life? Like, it's not really any fault of your own, but if you have a Venus Neptune square, you go through that once or twice. Like, hey, I'm good. I'm gonna vet these people a little bit better, and I'm not going to be open to their sob stories. Because that Venus Neptune square has a lot of betrayal hardwired into it, right? And if you haven't, you know what I'm talking about. Just takes you a couple times. If you have a square inside of a chart, it's not a death sentence. It's an opportunity to figure it out and to build better boundaries and have better filters and cultivate your relationships with a Venus Neptune square so they're healthy, right? They're not codependent and toxic. And there's a lot of toxicity going on with that Venus Neptune square. Everybody has this. It's almost like we have been inundated with these toxins socially, not just from chemtrails or GMO foods or whatever, but we've been inundated with these toxins socially, and we have to get them out. And part of this, I guess, is the purging or the leaching process. Just do your best not to take things personally today. That's the last little bit here, because we're running short on time. Try not to take things personally today with this Venus Neptune square. Build better filters. I'll leave it there. Okay, let's get to the banner. And first of all, hey, listen, I want to practice what I preach. I just want to say I appreciate you all. I appreciate each and every one of you, even though I haven't met each and every one of you. It is a very interesting relationship to get up here and do this every morning and know that there are people that are watching somewhere. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here with me at 8 o'clock in the morning. You bring shape and meaning to my life by supporting me in the moment while I do this. It gives me my raison d'etre, right? I would not have it if it were not for you. So thank you. I appreciate you. All right. Let's get into the banner. Today's star of the day was a bit tricky. Wasn't a great selection for the old star of the day. So sometimes we have to make do with what we have and use it as a learning experience or a teaching experience for astrology, right? And today's star of the day is a great learning and teaching experience. In as much as I may not like this person. Hold on a second. I gotta get rid of this. Where'd it go? Right here. Yes. It did not quite get up there. There we go. Let me do the screen share. There we go. Right there. All right. So before I dive into the chart of one Whoopi Goldberg, today's star of the day is brought to you by True Hemp Science, which is your one-stop shop for all your CBD needs. And all you got to do is spend $100 or more. Type in 15MINS, and you will get a generous sub order. Will you get a lot of these little goodie treats? Think of it as Christmas. These are your stocking stuffers. Well, you're getting them from Chris, which rhymes with Christmas. These are your stocking stuffers. And it's like, oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, what is this? Let me try this, right? Like, it's cool. So Chris is really generous. You type in 15MINS, you spend $100, you get a little sub order on the site. $150 or more, you get free shipping. There's always a 30-day money back guarantee. And this is some of the best organically sourced CBD you'll find. And not only that, but he's a wizard. He's an absolute wizard. And a lot of you have met him, Chris. And when you meet the guy, you're like, oh, this is the dude. Yeah, I get it. I get it. All right, let's talk about Whoopi. Not a person I particularly like, but we can learn a lot from her chart. First of all, this is probably one of the most impersonal charts I've ever seen. There's nothing below the horizon, right? Everything we know about Whoopi Goldberg has been above the horizon. She's been in our public consciousness for a long time. I lived in California, and she used to be part of a group called the Blake Street Hawkeyes. And Blake Street is a street in Berkeley, and they were a small theater troupe. And this is after she had lived in San Diego for a while, done some stand-up. And then she had a one-woman act as Moms Mabley. If you know who Moms Mabley is, she was this kind of iconic Black comedian. And so Whoopi did, she did this one-woman stage act with her. And that kind of thrust her onto the kind of the world stage in some ways, right? It wasn't that much longer between Moms Mabley and what was she in, the Color Purple or whatever, right? Like, and then she has this film career, which is, odd in a lot of ways. Like her film career is just odd. I guess she's most well known for her role in Ghost, which brings us to her 8th house, where we have the moon in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, Neptune in Scorpio. I'm sorry, Neptune in Libra, and then Mars conjunct Neptune. There's a lot of secrets floating around Whoopi Goldberg. Like her psyche and her inner life has a lot of secrets. But again, if we're playing with like her movie role, Ghost is a big deal for her. It's very 8th housey. It's also very 12th housey. And she has the part of fortune in her 12th house, right? She's this medium, and she's kind of fake in Ghost, right? She's kind of this fake medium. But again, part of fortune, 12th house Aquarius, like that. I think that movie is the movie that really kind of it's a very mainstream role, and it's kind of funny, right? And believe it or not, Whoopi Goldberg used to be known as a funny person. Now she's just, super serious all the time. Let's look at her 10th house. This is what I mean by you can learn about astrology through this chart. So she has Venus conjunct the midheaven, right? And she has the true node in her 10th house. So this is all public. Right? This is the big wide world. And what is she known for now? She's known for being on a show with a bunch of shrews. It's called The View. Right? And Venus, even though it's not the moon's, the Venus still represents the feminine. And it's conjunct the midheaven, and she's got her true node there. And there is a wide, well, it's not really conjunct classically, but it's there, right? So she's living that out, right? The View, you can see The View in a freaking chart. Like, this is it. This is what she's doing. And she has weird relation, Whoopi Goldberg, like, she's got some dark shit in her past. When she was, I think she was living in New York. She's born in Manhattan, and she was going through therapy, and her fucking therapist knocked her up. And so Whoopi Goldberg, she was young too. She was like, 17 years old, maybe. She had a history of. She dropped out of school. She was doing drugs. She was doing sex. She was probably doing tricks. This is all 8th house shit. Like there's a huge dark side to Whoopi Goldberg, and it's all lurking there in their 8th house. And so she goes into therapy. Hello, 7th house, Jupiter Pluto conjunction. And what is she? She bangs the therapist and has a kid. She's around 16 or 17 years old. Her daughter from that marriage, or not marriage, union, the tryst, her daughter gets knocked up at around 15 years old, right? So that's the moon. That is the moon. And who knows what the circumstances with her daughter were. Maybe not too unlike the circumstances with Whoopi. And then she has that weird relationship with Ted Danson, and they show up in blackface. Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, 7th house. Like, all right, hey, we're being expansive. Yeah, look at us, Jupiter and Leo, Pluto and Leo, we're being expansive. We're being creative. Oh, yeah, we're also being culturally insensitive. Like this is all over her chart, though. She has all these squares with Uranus and, and with Aquarius rising. She's always going to do that. Like she's always going to be contrarian. She's always going to shock, right? So she found her lane with The View, and she's, I'll tell you what, there were a couple times where she said things that were, this is the thing about Whoopi that boggles my mind, because in a lot of ways, even though she's occupying the 10th house and having this show, and she's on there, with the shrews, she's not really completely doing that, because the true note in Sagittarius is what? It is truthful. It is authentic. And so what she does is she fronts authenticity. She fronts it. She has all the, there is look, if you sat down with Whoopi Goldberg outside of The View and you had a real conversation with her, you'd be surprised at some of the things that she'd probably say to you. But because she's playing this role and she's invested and she's getting, all this cash, right, from running her mouth, which is, Mercury, sextile Jupiter, Pluto, she's not going to give it up. But there have been times when she said things on The View that she got suspended for. She got suspended for telling the truth. So it brings her down here into that South Node in Gemini. And what is The View? It's gossipy. It's like a fucking gossip show. It's like political gossip. It's just a gossip show. It's a gossip show that thinks it's taking itself seriously. And that's the South Node in Gemini. So she's missing the mark there. Well, she's been propped up and she's in the 10th house, and we'll just call the show, instead of The View, The Shrew. Like she's on the shrew, but she's not telling the truth. And I think that this has health effects for Whoopi, right? She's got Pluto conjuncting Chiron right now in her 12th house. Like, oh, in conjunct Pluto in Leo, how's that going to go down? Like, if Whoopi doesn't start telling the truth and either sacrificing the paycheck or moving beyond whatever kind of dirt they might have in her, I can tell you right now it's going to happen to Whoopi Goldberg. She's going to have either MS or Parkinson's, and it's going to happen quickly because that Pluto is coming in, right, squaring Neptune, and then it's going to start to square Mercury in her chart. And with an Aquarius rising, like at a certain point, she's going to have to flip the table, right? Because she's not living in truth. She's living in her South Node, which is very gossipy, in the 4th house. Sitting, it's like the witch's shrew. The other thing that's interesting about Whoopi is the Saturn Sun conjunction. And I was looking up her character Guinan from Star Trek Next Generation, which is an interesting character because if you're not familiar with her character, she's this like a bartender, but she's immortal. She's had like 24 marriages and all these kids, right? So she's immortal. And you kind of get this a little bit with this Saturn South Node conjunction. Like Whoopi Goldberg, when she was doing that Mom's Mabley shit, that was probably around, I don't know, like maybe 1979, maybe 1980 at the most. And what is she's 25, she's 24, 25 years old doing that. And she's playing this character who's much older than she is with the Saturn Sun conjunction. So yeah, Whoopi's got staying power. And she's kind of, I would say she's kind of an old soul. Right? She's kind of an old soul, although with South Node and Gemini would give her young undertones. It's like, okay, it's time to grow up. You know, I just found out that she's starting the first the first women's sports network. Like she's starting this version of SHE-SPN. We'll call it SHE-SPN. I just saw that. I was doing some background on Whoopi last night. Very excited about that. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting things here and no personal life whatsoever. And if there is, we just don't know about it. Like Whoopi Goldberg lives her life in public with kind of a dark past and lots of secrets buried in the house of Goldberg. All right. That's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I appreciate you. Come over on 15 Minutes of Flame, and we're going to get into some of the Trump stuff. And I'm going to do my best. To tell you that it may not be exactly what it seems. You're like, okay, Robert, you're going to cover for Trump. Not really. But bear with me. And you may look at this a little bit differently by the time that I'm done. All right. Treat each other well. God bless you all. Remember, you. Let me just leave you with this. You are God. Okay, you are God, not God like, oh, I'm omniscient and omnipotent. You know, not God like Bill Gates thinks he's God. Okay, you're not that. No, but you are God, and you're a representative of God. And sometimes it's hard for us to remember that and remind ourselves of that. I'm here to remind you. So go forth and be godlike. Be godlike. And act as if you're coming from your highest intention. Make the God part of yourself proud. Well, maybe not proud, but make the God part of yourself conscious and aware. Let it into your life. All right. I'll see you guys over in 15, hopefully. Bye for now.